Welcome everybody. We're here today to talk about the Cascade Drilldown program, a new process we're going to use to interview assistant drillers. We're going to talk today really about four things. First of all, why we're doing it, how the program works, what we're providing here to help, and last but not least, what the next steps are. To start, I want to talk about why we're doing it. First and foremost, Cascade hires more than 140 assistant drillers per year. In addition to that being the largest single group of people that Cascade hires, it's also the people that are directly servicing our customers. So this is our pipeline, no pun intended, to future growth. With that said, we are experiencing over 50% turnover for assistant drillers, and as concerning as that is, I would tell you that there is no area that's doing it necessarily a heck of a lot better than others. We are all sharing in this issue. Thirdly, we also, in interviewing people last year, can tell you that there is no consistent way that we have. From one area to the other, everybody is using a different method of what they're looking for, how they're recruiting people, what they're doing in the interview process or onboarding. Many of the processes are good, and many that you're going to see today are borrowing from some of those, but there is hardly any consistency from one part of Cascade to another on how that works. The result of that is two things. Really, one is the time spent training people is choking our productivity. We're spending a lot of time training people that aren't going to be there in a short period of time, and really what it's leading us to is the fact that we have to reduce turnover, particularly in this position. Now, what really the way the drill down system works is that we're going to start with, we want to establish a consistent process and language for this company so we can continue to learn and get better from it. It focuses on the data gathering stage of interviewing, the place where we're going to be talking to people for, say, an hour or more at one period of time. That interview process really starts with a discovery phase or a screening phase where you might do a short phone interview. It might be on campus or over the phone or even in person, but a short, what I'm going to call screening conversation. And the process might end with vetting, meaning background checks or somebody that you want to speak to the person for a few minutes, up to say 30 minutes. This is focusing on that middle stage where you're going to have 2 or 3 people talking to this candidate for, say, roughly an hour at a time. We're going to use the behavioral interviewing process, which I'm going to explain in a couple of minutes. And really it's the purpose being we're going to make sure that we get from that system the information that we really need, that you really need to make good decisions. As part of that process, we've identified 6 mission-critical dimensions for an assistant driller. And this is talking to and building consensus from a number of Cascade managers. We determined what were the 6 primary things that were the absolute must-haves in hiring somebody. There's a lot of other things we'd like to have, but these are the must-haves. We've identified the consensus of what everybody said for those. The elements of this plan is going to include an interview guide, which is going to give you the actual questions that you can ask and a place to fill in some of your own. A data integration sheet, which is going to be for the hiring manager to summarize the results from the other people in this process, and a document that explains how to execute the program overall in written detail that you can use to supplement this conversation. But I'm going to start with the fact that this simple process really focuses on behavioral interviews. And the concept or the premise behind a behavioral interview is the idea that the best indicator of what somebody's going to do in the future are examples of what they've done in the past. So its past performance is the best indicator of future results. What we're looking for in this process is for our managers to ask questions that seek specific examples of things that our candidates have done that demonstrate the dimension that we're looking to fit. So for example, if we were going to ask somebody about time management, instead of saying to them, here's a situation or how would you handle conflicting priorities, you might ask them a question that looked like, tell me about a time at work in the past couple of years when you had 3 things to do and only had time for one of them. And what you're looking for is somebody to give you essentially what they specifically did at work. So you're looking for within that, in addition to specific examples, a positive result, something that was fairly recent within the past few years, and you're looking for answers in what I'm going to refer to as the STAR format. Now what the STAR format means is really it's three things. When you ask a question like, tell me about a time when you had three things to do and only had time for one, what you're looking for is somebody to start with, first of all, the situation or task that they were faced with. And that is the specific situation. An example of a time maybe in the past few years where they faced that issue, the action that they took towards that issue, and then the result of that action. And with that said, there are going to be good and bad responses to these. If somebody was to ask a question like that, a good response would start with something like, last month I was at work and something happened where I had conflicting priorities. So they're giving you a specific time, as opposed to somebody saying to you is hypothetically what I would do in a situation is that. For an action somebody took, you're looking for them to basically tell you what they did or how they worked through the issue, as opposed to just glossing over it and giving a result. And in terms of results, you're looking for something positive. I got done the most important tasks and was able to achieve a primary goal, versus somebody that just gives you a negative result that had to do it over. So we're asking questions around these 6 dimensions. Now what are those 6 dimensions? And really what this is about is prioritizing. There is no such thing as a perfect candidate. Nobody is going to have all of the things that we as managers would like them to have when we're interviewing them. So what we've tried to do is, instead of praying for the perfect candidate, to try to prioritize what are the 6 things that an assistant driller needs to have, that are mission critical when we hire them if they're going to be successful. And the very first thing that we determined was that they need to be willing to travel. If they're not willing to go out, be deployed on crews, and spend time away, there is no reason, frankly, to go any further. That they are not going to be able to be successful in this role. I don't care what other skills they have. Second, we are looking for people that are career motivated, that they have a passion for what they do. They're looking to gain certifications. They are looking to further their career. They're willing to work overtime in the field, and they're willing to work towards taking that next step. Thirdly, when our crews are deployed in the field, they're going to have to spend a lot of time with each other. We need people that have a good cultural fit, and we'll define cultural fit as they're willing to work in teams. Somebody that's going to be hard to get along with is not going to long-term be successful as an assistant driller. Fourth, there's a certain level of mechanical aptitude somebody needs to be able to provide. They need to understand equipment and how to repair it and work with it. 5, diagnostic ability. That MacGyver instinct, that situation where they're out in the field, that equipment breaks down and it needs to get repaired. They need to be able to have some kind of intellectual curiosity that's going to help them figure out how to fix that and keep that crew deployed. Last but not least, safety is a critical part of our culture. It needs to be a critical part of theirs. Now, how this program works is really what's going to happen is there's going to be a 2-page interview guide that somebody's going to get. So when you're getting ready to interview an assistant driller, you're going to take out this sheet. You're going to fill in certainly the candidate's name, your name, and then the date. And then what you're going to do is you're going to notice a few things. First of all, you're going to see down the left-hand margin there's going to be 6 dimensions. And we're only showing the first page here, but you're going to see the 6 dimensions that we're going to focus on. So as you note those are the things you're going to ask questions on. Now you're going to see here that you've got the opportunity to ask. You're going to want to ask 1 or 2 questions per dimension and then make some notes on those questions based on what they say. Now really what we've done is, first of all, we've identified 5 questions that management believes will help you get at that particular dimension. In addition, you will notice that there's space below for 1 or 2 of yours. So if you've asked, say, one of these questions here, and you've got one that you think really works to help show us how somebody's going to travel, you most certainly have the flexibility to add there. So you're going to go through, you're going to ask these questions, you're going to make notes in this main section here, and then after you're done with the interview, you're going to fill in a score. So you're going to determine that you're really happy with what they said with willingness to travel, and you're pretty happy with mechanical aptitude after you've made some notes on what they had to say. So you're going to have the questions here, you're going to go through, pick 1 or 2 questions from each category, and you're going to go through and make notes on what they say. Now from there, there's going to be a data integration sheet, which means the hiring manager, after everybody's had a chance to interview people, they're going to put together a conference call or a meeting where you're going to talk about the people. So you're going to put their name on the sheet. You're then going to make a list of who the interviewers were as the hiring manager or the HR representative. And you're going to record the scores and maybe a brief note on what people said. Really, the essence of this is that you are going to want to have a dialogue with the other managers or people that spoke to this candidate about how they fit each dimension. So this is give and take. This is, here's what I got, here's what you got, let's compare notes and make 1 + 1 = 3. And then at the bottom, obviously you'll have a note for what the next step would be, which is up to the hiring manager. So you record the scores and make brief notes. Now, just a quick note on instructions. There's also going to be a Word document here, 3-page document that's going to give you specifics that spell out the process and tell you how it works. If you have any questions on that document or on how this process is to work, please feel free to email them to me, and my email address is there. Now, in terms of what's next and how this is going to work, to summarize, really what this system is, I would tell you, is it allows us to take better advantage of everybody's experience. It's going to use some best practices and do it in a way where we're going to be able to share information with each other within our teams and across them about what the right criteria are. It's a way to build a consistent process. It's also a step in this process versus the final destination. We're going to keep working on this and refine it until we feel we have it down. This is something we need everybody to do, but I want to be very clear that we're going to be seeking input as to how to improve this process once we've had it out in the field. We've sent the materials to you. We're hoping that you use this for all your future assistant driller interviews, and we wish you the best of luck with it. In the next 3 months, we're going to be revisiting this to determine what the best steps are. With that said, I thank you all very much for your time and attention, and look forward to talking to you all soon.